had a question, and we didn't get to address that. And I know that you and I have a hard stop at 9, so it's 8:48. If Nicole, if you're here or if you get back on, if you could repost your question.
Yeah.
Hi, Nicole. Sorry we missed the question earlier, and we definitely want to get to that, and then we'll just kind of wrap up. I'm still Instagram live, so Luis, I think the best we could do is talking and try to do what is best for the team. I think, yeah, definitely communication. It sounds like that having that advanced notice of we're going to experience disappointment and having the opportunity to think about how you would respond without just reacting. That also made me think about in the Search Inside Yourself training this week, we're learning about resilience, and our own perspective really informs whether we'll be more resilient or not. And people that have a kind of a pessimistic view when something bad happens, they tend to view this situation as more permanent, and they view the situation as being because of who they are and things that they can't change. Whereas people that have a more optimistic perspective tend to be more resilient. And what that looks like is they see the situation as impermanent. This happened, it's not great, it's not going to last forever. And they also don't over personalize it. It's not because of who I am. I mean, maybe I played a role in it, but there are so many other factors that were outside of my control that contributed to this. And just being able to have some perspective and say, like, this is the way it is right now. This is what's going on. It's not because I did everything wrong or because the world is a bad place. We're able to kind of accept what happened and move on more quickly. So let's see if there's any more questions.
Here we have a question.
How
have you shifted your perspective in the last couple of months? Wow, very powerful question. So with everything that has happened, right? We have the coronavirus pandemic, and then we have the rising on the streets because of the racial disparities. I think, one of the things that I have, so people have had a lot of time to reflect, right? And be at home and have time for yourself and think about, the things that really matter. And to me, Nicole, I can tell you that I've been a very communicative person. I talk a lot, like you say, so I like to talk to everyone. My family gives me a hard time because even when I'm in the supermarket and before COVID, if I was in the supermarket and I see somebody, I think everybody's my friend, so I talk to everybody. But I do that because I have a fascination for people, and I love to hear how people are and what they're doing and what they have a passion for. So I like to hear about people, learn about people, and so. But in these past couple of months, I have seen more of that from others to me. So I've received calls from people that I wasn't expecting, or emails or notices. And I have been, some of the communications have touched my heart. The other day I received a communication that really impacted me. Somebody wrote to me and said, "Hey, Luis, by reading your posts on LinkedIn, I'm doing something different." That is, so this is a white male that told me, "Hey, in the past, I have been in situations where at work, where a fellow, a person of color, fellow team member, right, a person of color, was the victim or received an injustice, and because I wasn't, it didn't affect me. I didn't do anything about it. But after reading your messages of joining in and really caring about other people and getting interested in injustices that happen to others, I won't do that anymore. So like the next time that I witness an injustice, he almost like a pledge to me, Luis, like, I promise you that I will say something. And he really, like, I read it and it impacted me. It was very meaningful and significant, because I think that the people are evolving in their thinking to really understand, there's something new here, and when we have to really think about how we want to live, our lives in that aspect. So that, to me, Nicole, has been very important through the past couple of months.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, definitely we're living in some interesting time. I would say, rather than myself, I just now that the expectation is that I be home rather than going into the office, having more time and working with other people who are tending to have more time. More than ever, people are perhaps ready and willing and open to explore more work-life balance, what that can look like, how they can make the time and energy for their relationships and self-care that matters. I think there's also just been more opportunity for introspection. Things are quiet. I don't have a lot of opportunities to get out and socialize and network, go to the river and see Luis at an event. Don't get to do a lot of things that we used to do. And for me, that means is, rather than trying to fill my time with more social media, which, of course is not a bad thing. We're all here on Instagram, but, filling up with social media or Netflix binges or things like that, I'm more than ever really trying to continue to be very intentional with the time. Even though I have more time, I'm just using it differently. So like, instead of going to the gym, I'm taking time exercise breaks with my daughter. And so we'll go for a walk, or we'll go for a jog, or sometimes we'll do a little yoga. And so I'm just looking at how do I take maybe my daily schedule and include my family members in different ways. And so I don't think that the perspective has shifted so much, other than really being like, this is the time to introspect and also to understand our interconnectedness. So Molly,
Yeah, and I think we have
the compassion that's resulting from place.
Yeah, go ahead and read it. Well, so great comment. I love it about the compassion that we're having, from our colleagues. And I would say something. So thank you for that comment and that question. And one of the changes that I've seen, one of the feedback that I've gotten a lot, and by working in corporate America, I relate to that too, is that in many organizations, the Department of Human Resources is not always very human. And when you hear from them, it's probably not a good thing, right? You get an email from Human Resources, like, oh my gosh, well, what did I do now? And I think, and I see Isabel Serpa, my childhood friend, is here connected, and she's in the Human Resources. And I love, Isabel, the way that you're going about it, because it's different, because it's not about human resources as, kind of the law enforcement, just enforcing the policies and making people, but it's rather more about proactively, with the human side of things. How do you really support employees, and sometimes, there are instances where you have employees, I mean, sometimes you need to reduce the size of the business, and some people, very talented people, have to be without a business, or sometimes there is not a fit, or there is a misalignment between someone's talents and a role, and a decision has to be made where the person cannot continue in the role. So everybody understands that. It's how we go about it, how it is done, right? And it can be done with compassion, with support, where, it's like I always like I tell people, and this is my friend Catherine Byers-Briggs that taught me this the other day, that is like, she said, like a bad termination is like a bad breakup, right? That you like never, that is hard to recover from. But, it's more about like being human about it. And what I would say is that I have, some of the conversations that I've had are from people in the human resources team that are looking for, looking into emotional intelligence. So, human-centered leadership, emotional intelligence. I actually had an organization that, works with human resources contact me because of one of my articles. So I'm really excited about like the growth of the interest in the human resources, field, about things that, about human things that, how people feel, and more understanding the quality of people in the heart. So like historically, for a long time, it's more about how much people know. So we would bring leaders because they were successful at other companies, and they have these curriculums, that are these resumes that are like amazing because they went to amazing schools and they did this and that. But I think that it's more now about what kind of people are them, what is in their heart, how do they treat others, how do they, because it was okay in the past. It's like if you have somebody that is a person that financially can grow companies and all that, like you'll interview them and you kind of know that there is something in there, but you're like, it doesn't matter because the guy can really help grow these businesses. So you bring people into the organization that are strategically changing but people are feeling miserable. This is the person that are bringing a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. The team is, the people in the team are looking for jobs, how to get out of the team, how to leave the company. and organizations sometimes are okay with that, but we shouldn't be. It's not all right. It's not okay to be okay with what's not okay. I think that the pandemic, one of it, going back to the question, I think was that Erica that asked that question in terms of how our perspective changed. I think that one of the perspective that is changing is that it matters, what kind of people are, and what's in their heart, and how they're making others feel. And even ourselves, we have to think about how we are making others feel, right? So, whenever someone comes to you, and so first it's learning to say to people, hey, Tamara, I just wanted to share with you that, the comment that you said earlier, maybe you didn't mean it this way, but that, and I did that. I've done that at work where, like the other day, I went back to somebody and said, hey, I got this email. Can we read it together? I want to know what you meant, because the way that I read it, it didn't feel good when I read it. And he actually, there was a chart. The person was frustrated for something, and the email had a, kind of like something there between the lines. But it was a great experience. The person appreciated it, and the person said to me, I was very frustrated, this and that, and we were able to have a great conversation, and we had a great relationship after that. So, but it's about helping to express to other people how things are making you feel, because sometimes the way people make you feel bad, but it's not intentionally. And then when someone comes to you, it doesn't matter whether you intended it or not. Like if someone felt bad about something you said, and the person comes to you and shares that with you, you can say, hey, that was not my intention. But what you need to focus more on is not so much the intention, but the outcome and the impact, right? And so it's like why something that you said or did actually did in fact make somebody feel bad, and then reflect on it, and then if ideally make some adjustments in the behavior there, so that obviously that which you did with the best intention did not result in a good outcome.
Yeah, and I know we have to wrap up, but that just made me think that Maya Angelou said people will forget what you told them, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. So that's super great to connect with you today. I know that people are having to.
Yes. Thanks, everybody. It was a pleasure to see you all. So excited. See you, Carla. See you, Isabel, Juan, Erica, Kelly, everyone. So, Nicole, a pleasure to see you all. Thank you for supporting our work, and we look forward to doing more together, and learning more together, growing together. Thank you so much. Have a great Friday and a great weekend.